Hi guys, this is Claire with Backcountry Buddies Dog Training, and I wanted to create a video about changing the dialogue around dog training methods. Now, for the everyday dog owner, this video might be a little bit, it's not targeted to you, but it could be good information for you if you want to continue watching. This is primarily for dog trainers that are currently practicing in the industry and making a living doing professional dog training. I feel like it's important for me at this point to provide you with a trigger warning about with regards to this video. So if you are a dog trainer that is not at a point in your life where you are open to hearing anything the other side has to say, whether you're very traditional or very positive or somewhere in between, if you feel like you're not in an open place to take this in, I ask that you shut the video off and come back to it at a later time. This is primarily for those who are frustrated with the state of our industry, who want to make a change and are wondering how we might be able to do that, um, and genuinely are able to put someone else's shoes on, and be honest with yourself before even watching this video as to whether you're capable of doing that. And if not, it is totally fine. That is where you are. But what I don't want happening is you watching this video, you becoming very triggered, getting very upset, and then commenting all over the place, or sharing it out of rage and doing something very counterproductive to the purpose. So the very first thing I want to talk about is why should we change the dialogue? The next thing I'm going to go into is how we can go about that. But first, let's address why. As some of you may be happy with the fractured state of our industry, but I would guess that many of you are not. And I think one of the biggest whys here as to why we should attempt to come together and change the dialogue on training methods is we are confusing the everyday dog owner, and in turn, the everyday dog owner is making poor choices. Um, and then that leads to unhappy dogs, unhappy owners, people spending lots of money bouncing from trainer to trainer, um, and a general feeling of distaste for our industry. If we can somehow eliminate that confusion a little bit and make it easier on the normal person to get the help they need for their dogs, it will make all of us look better, and it will improve our situation vastly. One of the other reasons to change the dialogue is that many of us are becoming hypocritical. And what I mean by that is we are treating each other in ways that we would never ever treat the animals in our care. Or we are treating clients in ways that we would never ever treat the animals under our care. And that does not make us look very good. Even if, and it shouldn't make us feel very good either. But I think we're losing track of that there are humans on the other end of screens, there are humans on the other end of businesses, and the way we speak to each other matters, and the way that we respect one another matters, and it is a mirror to what we are able to do with the dogs in our care. And another point to that too is I see a lot of this going around where trainers will go on other trainers' websites or Yelp or Facebooks, and they will give 1-star reviews for the methods, even though they've never worked under the trainer. Maybe they had somebody, a former client, go from that trainer to them, and they feel they need to write a 1-star review. They'll come up with fake names, doing things like that. I mean, that is horribly, horribly unprofessional behavior. And this war that we're fighting is bringing this out in us. And what is incredibly frustrating with things like that is you could be ruining the business of a perfectly good trainer that you don't even know of. Right? We all get each other's clients. I hate to say it, but if you haven't had a client that's been through 2 or 3 trainers before, you must be living on the moon. So it's totally inappropriate. It is not called for. It's unprofessional, and we need to hold each other to higher standards than that. That should not be acceptable behavior among peers and colleagues, no matter whether you agree with what they're doing or not. And the very final thing, the very final point is that we need to change this because we are not helping anybody by doing this. We may feel like we are because obviously everyone thinks that what they're doing is the right way to do it. Otherwise, we wouldn't be doing it. We are all professionals. We've been doing it for various amounts of years. We think we're helping, but when we participate in this behavior and we do not have healthy dialogue, we are not experiencing the growth in the industry that we need in order to keep getting better. We just keep hitting roadblocks. The next segment is how to change the dialogue. Um, and obviously, these are all ideas of my own, and the more people that can contribute to this the better. We're just going to come up with better and better ways to talk to each other and come to healthy understandings and healthier ways of dealing with one another. But I did compile a little bit of a list. Feel free to add to it or add your comments as we go. The first thing is to watch your language. So, the way we speak to one another, as I've been talking about, is incredibly important. And the language that we use when talking with or about each other is also incredibly important. The word abuse is thrown around far, far too easily on our tongues in either direction. So don't think I'm just pointing out the R plus side. A lot of traditional trainers think that R plus training is abuse because you let the dog get away with too much or whatever. So this is both sides. This is not just one. As someone who worked in a county animal shelter for a while, I have seen abuse. I have seen such neglect. And to hear a trainer flippantly call a leash correction abuse is such an unfair term. And it's a fear, shame, judgment tactic that trying to, calling a regular dog owner that uses a prong collar abusive. I mean, it's cruel. It's actually abusive in the other direction, you saying that to another person. So if you feel like abuse is going on, make sure that you have a very, very clear definition of abuse. And I think as an industry, we could really use developing our own definition of abuse so that it's not thrown around willy-nilly. Can't believe I just said that. But so it's not thrown around like crazy because it's very, very detrimental. It makes the everyday dog owner feel extremely judged, extremely closed off. If they worked with a trainer that used a prong collar and they're out in the world, they want to hide it. They don't want to do the work that might have worked for them. And we'll get to that later. But the prong collar might really, really work for them, but they're afraid to use it because they don't want somebody calling them abusive and saying they're wrong. So watching our language is incredibly important. Obviously, name calling is bad. Any logical fallacies you can stay away from, just pull it up on Wikipedia and check it while you're writing stuff would be great. But yeah, that would be a good first step. The second step I want to talk about is finding new ways to approach things that you disagree with. And what I mean by that is there are many, many Facebook groups or nonprofits that I've seen that will secretly tape a video of a trainer, and maybe the dog vocalizes because it doesn't like leash pressure or something. The point is, we don't know what's going on, but you see a dog vocalizing on a leash with a trainer. They put it on Facebook, blast it, abuse, this dog trainer needs to be put in jail, and blah, 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 blah. So we just talked about language. This is different. That approach to disagreeing with something that's going on has not been the healthiest for us. While I don't think that we should ignore things and ignore trainers that we actually think are repeatedly doing things wrong, are shutting down dogs, are not taking care of them in their kennels, I think we need to address that, certainly. But do I think that that is the way? By public shaming, sharing, calling names, posting secret videos? I don't. I really don't. I think there is a better way to approach things that we disagree with. For one, sending a respectful but firm private message to the trainer asking if you can come watch what they do, that you felt concerned about a video you saw or something you heard going around and you wanted to get to the truth of it, and ask to visit their kennel if you have a problem. So asking questions, digging deeper, searching for the truth rather than immediately jumping to conclusions and blasting hatred towards them. That leads me really nicely into the third step, which is seek understanding and ask questions. So a really great example is you're an R plus trainer in your community, and you know you have a balanced competitor, and they have great reviews. You've seen dogs that they've trained out in the world, and they look just fine. They don't look shut down or scared or fearful, unless that was something they already had. And instead of continuing to hate them because they are a balanced trainer, you seek out more information about what they're doing and why it's working, and you get curious. And there is nothing dangerous or nothing you should be afraid of about seeking out information from the other side. Same goes with if you're a balanced trainer or a traditional trainer. Seeking out what they're doing, finding out why they feel so strongly about what they're doing, and maybe you can then incorporate it into your own methodology. And you lose nothing by doing this. You only gain knowledge, even if it's the knowledge that that's not what you want to do and that's not what you're about. But I think that the climate of our dialogue has made it so scary to creep over to the other side that we just don't do it. And that needs to change. We need to open our minds again and bring that youthfulness and fun back to try and understand one another. The next step is, it might not be super popular, but I think that's because this is a trigger word. So politicking, basically engaging in the politics of dog training. And what I mean by that is a more pure definition of it. So politics in its purest form is something that you use in a democratic republic. I might be wrong about this. Someone really smart's going to comment and be like, you did this wrong. But what I see it as is there can be two stark different sides of a population of people, of a group of people, and the politics need to happen in order for compromise to exist. Otherwise, neither group is going anywhere. So we need to engage each other in that compromise and those politics in order to grow as an industry together. But right now, all we're doing is we have two lightsabers, and I wish I knew enough about videos so I could put them in between my hands and do a battle. But we have two sides, and we are just pounding it out constantly. And if we engaged in a little bit of politicking, we might get a little bit further. Let me give you an example of this to make it more concrete. Many people want to ban outright the use of e-collars and prong collars. And with the climate again of our industry, I can understand why they come to that conclusion. It's a very fear-based thing that's being thrown out there about these tools. But instead of an outright ban, which the other side would absolutely not agree to because they use these tools daily and they think it helps dogs and they see great success with it, they're not going to be okay with banning it. So from the side that wants the banning, how about we work in some regulation, for example? How about we try and make it so that only people can't buy e-collars unless they're working with a professional trainer, or they have to buy it through their professional trainer who is a certified dealer? Or how about we have some industry standards as to the quality of collars, so that there aren't only high-level e-collars sold in PetSmarts with 8 levels that cannot be used properly at all. So it's these questions that will bridge the gap between us that we are not asking right now because we're too busy being at each other's throats. The next really important thing is to call out bad behavior on the part of your own group. So we've all been very proficient at calling out bad behavior with the other guys. So we're like, you're doing a bad job. But calling out in a healthy way bad behavior in our own groups makes it does a sort of self-regulation so that there's less ammo to be spitting at each other. So if you're in a Facebook discussion or a discussion in real life and a fellow R plus trainer is really bashing other balance trainers and you really don't have any reason to stand up for balance trainers, you're not one of them, still call that person out and be like, well, you don't know every balance trainer hates dogs. You don't know every balance trainer is abusing dogs. I mean, yeah, we don't agree with them, but we don't have to do it this way. If we are calling out bad behavior in our own groups, it is going to take us so far. And if we direct all of the anger that we're spitting out elsewhere and turn it in on ourselves, it's only going to improve us. As long as, of course, C number 2, we're doing it healthfully. And on a similar note to calling out bad behavior within your own group is admitting your own mistakes. So you've got to remember that at one time, you were a terrible trainer. And probably at one point in time, you were an average pet owner. And there is no getting around that. We're all an average pet owner, and then a bad trainer, and then a pretty good trainer, and then some of us are great and excellent trainers at this point. But forgetting that process makes it easier for us to look down upon those that are in their journey right now. We could not, if there were no PetSmarts or no little local group classes, things that you start out at and you're telling people stuff that you would never tell them now. If we didn't have those stepping stones, we would not be where we are today. Can we help to improve those trainers more rapidly by, maybe encouraging apprenticeships, or encouraging strict certification programs? Yes, we really can, so that we don't have this huge gap and we don't have so many clients going from trainer to trainer to trainer, and having the unlucky chance of falling into me as a 19-year-old giving them advice, right? So I was a bad trainer at one time. But yeah, it's important, especially going back to, calling out things that we disagree with or approaching things that we disagree with, is understanding that We're all on a journey, and we're all at different points on the journey. And if you take a video of a young trainer and blast it on your SPCA website and just ruin that young kid's life because he was doing something that a mentor had shown him and he didn't know any better, and yada yada yada. And you could argue with me all day about something like that, but remember, there are people behind these things, and I would say that the vast majority of trainers are not bad people looking to abuse dogs. So keep that in mind and remember your own stuff. And last but not least is join United groups on Facebook. There's dog trainer United groups. There's a national one. There are local area ones. We have one in Colorado. And United groups are there to bring trainers together to talk this stuff out healthily, ideally. I've had some issues on some United groups before, but ideally. And we're all going to make mistakes, but the more united groups we have, the less we segregate ourselves, and the more we seek to understand each other and hang out with each other, go to dinner with a balanced trainer, the more it's going to help us. I think that's all I have to say for now. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please leave a comment below if you have your own ideas about changing the dialogue, or concerns about anything I said. Don't make me shut down the comments because you're mean, though, because I'm sensitive. I'm a soft dog. Don't be mean. But thank you for watching, and until next time, bye.